Welcome to Urban Sanctuary. My guest this morning is Nguyen, Director of Week of Compassion, and grateful, V, for you taking time to chat with me this morning. Do you want to say hi to the Urban Sanctuary folks?
Yes. Hello, everyone. What a great opportunity to be with you this morning. I live not too far away. I live in Alameda with my wife and my 6-year-old son. And I work with We Have Compassion. We are an international relief, refugee, and development ministry of the Christian Church Disciples of Christ. So we do work all over the United States and around the world.
So, V, it's interesting that we've ended up kind of inviting you into our conversations about the future of spiritual communities, actually, because it seems like we can learn a lot from you about what it means to come alongside for people. So really, as the church, our role isn't to promote ourselves. Our role isn't to promote even Jesus. It's to really come alongside in the way that Jesus did, right? So he had places that he felt he needed to be. And so tell us a little bit about how that goes in the work of We Can Compassion, where you come alongside folks internationally and domestically in situations of disaster or situations for economic development. And what does that look like to come alongside?
Yeah, I think at the heart of what we do is really focusing the way we do ministry around relationship. Because at the end of the day, if we don't know the people, if we don't have a relationship with the people, the work that we do, the development work, the disaster response really doesn't matter. It's not as effective or sustainable long term. And so what does that mean? I mean, if you look at any places where we do work, what we really do is spend a lot of our time sitting down, having meals, having coffee, having tea, and listening to the people in the community. We don't just go in and say, "Hey, we have this idea, we have this mission, we're going to go in and we're going to do it." It doesn't work that way in the work that we do. Really, what it is we might have a sense of what the needs are, but we don't dictate that. We go into a community, we spend a lot of time with the people, and we're talking about weeks, months. One example, many of the places that we serve in Africa and in Southeast Asia, they need clean drinking water. You know, the easiest thing would be to go in, dig a hole, or provide a clean water system for the community, and that would be it. That part is the easy part. The hard part is how do we have the local people own the work that they do? How do we have the people have a say in what should be done? And so the hardest part in our work is really spending time with the local people, community organizing, making sure that if this is what they need, what can we do together to help meet that need? And so we spend a lot of time with people. We do a lot of community organizing. We form a committee who will look at the water system and have them lead the conversation, let them lead how this will be built, how water would get to the community.
So help us bring this home to maybe the domestic front in a way. So say our congregation, as we're looking at now, are like opening our hearts more, and this has kind of been true for us all along anyway, in recent years anyway, to be what we call the church in the streets, to be not just inviting people to come in and join us, but to go out and be with others. What advice would you give us from what you've learned as we seek to be present out in the streets of our community to other organizations and other social justice advocates and all?
I think this is really hard for a lot of churches to truly be open and to, I love the idea of, being a church out on the street, right? What does that mean? And I think for me, I think what that means is, and what makes it so hard is being open to what the spirit will lead you, being open to seeing something that you might not be otherwise would see, and maybe even changing the way you have done things, the way that you have been church, the way that just the idea of bringing church out into the street it's a pretty hard idea. It's a hard concept, right? Because church oftentimes is having people come to you, come into the building, you worship together, you do things together in the building, and you take it out. But the idea of doing church out there, it forces you to change who you are and what you have been taught to do as ministry. And what that really means for me is, if you analyze deep down, it means that you are really going to be open to what the needs are in the community. And are you willing to rearrange the ways that you have been doing ministry to meet the needs of that is happening out on the street?
So in closing, V, I've been asking people, as the church just continues to change and in so many different ways, there's a lot that we want to carry forward, and there's some things we can leave behind, right? And so if you were getting in a lifeboat, that you could take only one or two things left from the church that matter to you, what would be the one or two things from your experience of church that you would want to bring into the future?
I think, oh man, there's many ways I can answer this. I remember about 10 years ago when FCC, First Christian Church of Oakland, where I'm a member, was redoing the sanctuary, and they were getting rid of some of the pews that they had. They had tons. And I asked, could I get one of those pews? And I still have that pew, like in front of my house. And there's something about it. It's not because the pew is like where I sat with every Sunday when I come into the community, where I sat, where I had the conversation. It reminds me of some of the most profound moments, right? Of sitting with people, sitting next to a friend, a colleague, going to a memorial service and sitting next to the family. I guess so for me, just a lot of those moments of sitting down in the pew was one of those where healing, when some of us were in so much pain, right? Either because of a death or because of things that were happening, but being able to sit down and ministering to one another. You sit down, it's like, okay, there's nothing else that really matters. And so for me, like, that's a metaphor of ministry. It's like you bring the pew out to the street and you sit down, or you put it out there, people will come and sit. We all need a place to dwell, to sit, and we all from time to time need someone to sit with us as we figure things out in life journey. That's what I think of, and I still have that pew in front of my house that I have from First Christian Church of Oakland. And when I walk up to my house and I see it right there, now I incorporate some of the many conversations I have sitting there with my son, right, with my wife, with my neighbors, thinking about the future. Like, when is this pandemic gonna end? When will we get to be together again? When do we get to hug each other again? But at that moment of just sitting there, taking that time to be present, and not having to get up and go somewhere, is what I think of.